It feels like the world of artificial intelligence is moving at, well, warp speed.
It really does.
Every time you turn around, there's some new breakthrough. And honestly, it can be tough to really grasp what's significant amidst all the excitement.
Absolutely. It's easy to get lost in the noise.
That's why we're here, for you to take a clear-eyed look at what truly matters efficiently and, effectively.
And today we're diving into some really fascinating developments that speak directly to that need for clarity and understanding. Yeah.
Okay, so we've got two key pieces of information to explore today.
Uh-huh.
First, there's an article from blockchain.news. It covers a recent discussion by David Silver of Google DeepMind, focusing on his perspective on, the future trajectory of AI.
Okay, David Silver. Big name.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And second, we'll be examining an article from ZDNet. This one details a novel concept from DeepMind called streams.
Streams. Okay, interesting.
Yeah, it represents a fresh way for AI to learn from its interactions with the world.
Yeah.
So our goal in this deep dive is basically to understand the essence of this new direction in AI,
Right.
why it carries weight, and what potential broader impacts it might have. We're aiming for those moments where things kind of click into place without getting bogged down in too many technical details.
Sounds good. So let's begin with David Silver's core vision then, as reported by blockchain.news. What's the central idea he's putting forward?
Well, according to the piece, drawing from Google DeepMind, Silver is highlighting the potential for reinforcement learning systems to not just match, but potentially exceed human knowledge.
Exceed. Wow.
Yeah, his core idea is that AI could autonomously learn and discover scientific knowledge.
Okay, so not just learn what we know, but find new things entirely on its own.
Exactly. And here's where it gets really interesting. The article even points to AI-driven trading algorithms as a kind of present-day example of this potential.
Ah, in finance.
Right, where these algorithms are already optimizing market predictions and decision-making.
That's a crucial distinction he's making. It's not just refining existing knowledge. He's suggesting AI could become an independent engine for discovery.
Yeah.
That's big.
It is. And the blockchain news article mentions a specific date for one of his key discussions on this, doesn't it?
I think so, yeah. When was that?
Yes, that's right. The article references his discussion on April 16th, 2025. That's when he really emphasized this concept of AI learning and uncovering knowledge independently.
April 16th. Okay.
And it seems this particular discussion had a noticeable impact, especially in, well, a specific area of the market.
Ah, which leads us straight into the immediate market reaction that the blockchain news article also covers. So what did they observe there?
Well, what stood out was how quickly and how specifically certain parts of the cryptocurrency market reacted. It was quite targeted.
Oh, interesting. So not the whole market, but specific bits.
Exactly. The article notes that AI-related tokens saw a significant upward movement right after Silver's discussion. SingularityNet, AGIX, is specifically mentioned.
AGIX, right.
Its price increased by 5% to 56 cents, around $10 AM UTC, on that day, April 16th. That's according to CoinMarketCap data they cited.
5% isn't huge, but for a specific token right after a specific comment, that's quite telling, isn't it? Especially linking high-level AI research ideas to crypto.
It really is.
It suggests maybe that market is particularly tuned in or perhaps more speculative on future potential, maybe more than, say, traditional finance.
That's a great point. It could be a leading indicator, maybe, or just a different risk appetite.
Could be.
And it wasn't just the price either. The trading volume for AGIX also saw a significant jump.
Oh, yeah. How much?
It increased by 20%, 20 to 12 million tokens traded within that hour. That's according to CoinGecko.
Okay, that's significant. A 20% volume surge is definitely notable.
Right. And interestingly, the broader crypto market,
Yeah.
Bitcoin and Ethereum, they saw only minor increases at the same time.
How minor?
Bitcoin was up maybe 0.5%, Ethereum 0.3%. This is per crypto compared data. So really small bumps compared to AGIX.
Okay, so that really isolates the effect, doesn't it? It wasn't just a general market upswing. The interest was very focused on the AI-linked asset.
Precisely. It underscores that AI developments are becoming a real driver in certain financial niches.
Yeah, definitely.
And the analysis in blockchain news really highlights this correlation. It suggests that as AI tech keeps advancing, we might see even greater investment pouring into these AI-focused tokens.
Makes sense.
They even touch on the idea that traders might consider diversifying into tokens like AGIX or Fetch.ai, Ocean Protocol. basically trying to capitalize on this trend.
Oh, it raises that classic question, though, doesn't it? How much of this is speculation versus, a real understanding of the underlying potential if Silver's vision pans out?
It's almost certainly a mix, right?
Yeah,
But the strength of that reaction is hard to ignore.
definitely noteworthy.
And digging even deeper, the article gets into the technical trading indicators for AGIX at that specific time.
Oh, like RSI and...
Exactly. The relative strength index, the RSI, was at 65, which, usually indicates strong buying momentum.
65 is pretty bullish, yeah, but not quite overbought yet.
Right. And there was a bullish MACD crossover around 10.1p AM UTC, suggesting the upward trend might continue.
Okay, so the technicals seem to back up the buying pressure at that moment.
They did. And one more piece, on-chain data.
Ah, what did that show?
According to Glassnode, the number of active AGIX addresses increased by 15% within that same hour.
15% increase in active addresses. Wow. So more people were actually interacting with the network, not just trading on exchanges.
Exactly. It suggests increased engagement, maybe new holders coming in alongside the trading activity.
So putting it all together, you have a big announcement from a key figure, a quick, focused price jump in related crypto backed by higher volume, positive technicals, and increased network activity.
Yep. It paints a pretty clear picture. The market was paying very close attention.
Okay. Very interesting on the market side. Now, let's pivot then. Let's talk about this concept of streams that the ZDNet article elaborates on. What exactly is this new approach?
Okay, so streams, ZDNet describes it as a new agentic approach.
Agentic, meaning the AI acts more like an agent.
Kind of, yeah. It's where AI models learn directly from their interactions within an environment, and crucially, without being limited by pre-existing human knowledge or, as they put it, prejudgment.
Ah, prejudgment. So getting away from the biases baked into our data.
That seems to be a big part of it, allowing AI to explore and learn in a much more unconstrained way.
What's the motivation there? Why the shift?
Well, the ZDNet piece highlights the core idea.
Yeah.
Current AI training data, even massive data sets, might be inherently limited, too static.
Static. Okay, how so?
Because it reflects past knowledge, right?
Yeah.
It might actually be holding AI back from reaching fundamentally new levels of capability. That's the concern.
Right. If you only train on what humans already wrote down, how do you discover something truly novel?
Exactly. So the streams concept envisions AI actively having experiences, engaging with the world, formulating its own objectives based on signals it gets from its environment.
So it's much more dynamic, less passive learning.
Much more dynamic, yeah.
And the people behind this, you mentioned Silver again?
Yes, David Silver and Richard Sutton. The ZDNet article points out they co-authored the paper on this called Welcome to the Era of Experience.
Richard Sutton, the reinforcement learning pioneer, Turing Award winner.
That's him. Silver, obviously huge with AlphaZero, and Sutton, a foundational figure. Their names carry a lot of weight here.
Okay, so this isn't just a random idea. It's coming from the core of reinforcement learning research.
Absolutely. And ZDNet notes that streams is explicitly framed as building upon reinforcement learning and the lessons from AlphaZero.
Right.
The goal seems to be tackling some limitations of the current big thing, large language models, LLMs, the tech behind ChatGPT and others.
Which mostly just answer prompts, right? One question, one answer.
Pretty much. And ZDNet points out something interesting. After AlphaZero's success, generative AI, especially LLMs, kind of took over the spotlight.
Yeah, reinforcement learning felt a bit sidelined for a while there. In the public eye, at least.
Right. And while LLMs got really good at handling spontaneous human input.
Which is amazing, don't get me wrong.
Totally. But as the article highlights, this shift came with a trade-off.
What trade-off?
By focusing so much on text generation and prompt following, generative AI potentially lost some of that capacity for self-discovery of knowledge, the kind of thing AlphaZero did with Go.
Ah, because AlphaZero wasn't just predicting the next word, it was learning strategy through self-play, reinforcement learning.
Exactly. And the article elaborates on this. LLMs rely heavily on that human prejudgment at the prompt stage.
Meaning the way we ask the question shapes the answer too much.
Yeah, it can create a kind of ceiling. The AI is always guided by what we think is important or what we already know. It limits true discovery.
And the interaction style itself is limiting too, right? These short, isolated prompts.
Definitely. ZDNet points this out. The interactions lack memory, continuity. The AI can't really adapt or learn over a long period of engagement. It just resets with each prompt, more or less.
Okay, I see the problem. So how do streams fix this?
Well, Streams offers a big contrast. Instead of short chats, the idea is AI agents would inhabit long-term streams of experience.
Like a continuous flow of interaction.
Yeah, much more like how humans learn. Continuously interacting with the world, adapting over time.
That sounds much more powerful. Are there any examples of steps towards this?
The article mentions things like web browsing AI agents. OpenAI's deep research is given as an example.
Ah, agents that can go out and use the internet themselves.
Right. Allowing AI to navigate and interact more autonomously, it's seen as maybe an early initial move towards this more experiential learning.
Okay, that makes sense. So how would these streams actually work then, especially grounding them in reinforcement learning?
Okay, so the core principle, according to ZDNet, is that AI agents in these streams learn via reinforcement learning.
Okay, so trial and error, rewards.
Exactly. They interact with a simulated model of the world, or maybe the real world, and get rewards for their actions. These rewards are feedback signals, guiding the AI towards goals.
And where do these rewards come from in a real application? It's not like getting points in a game.
Right. The article talks about grounded signals,
Hmm.
things that naturally exist out there.
Like what?
Costs, error rates, performance metrics, user engagement, maybe economic indicators, real-world measurable stuff. That forms the reward system.
So tangible, real-world feedback drives the learning, not just human labels on data. That's interesting.
Yeah. And the article also mentions the role of a world model.
A simulation.
Sort of. An initial framework for the agent. It lets the agent predict consequences of actions, then learn from the real feedback it gets. And this model gets updated continuously by real experiences.
So it starts with a basic understanding, tries things, learns, updates its understanding, tries again.
Pretty much. It's a continuous loop.
And what about humans? Where do we fit into this streams picture? Are we just out of the loop?
No, not entirely. The human role kind of shifts more towards defining the big picture goals.
Setting the overall objective.
Yeah, we set the high-level aims, and then the reward functions are designed to steer the agent towards those aims. The article gives examples like improve my fitness or learn Spanish.
Ah, okay. So we provide the North Star, but the AI figures out the detailed path through its own experiences.
That's the idea, autonomously figuring out the best strategies based on the feedback loop.
Okay, that clarifies the mechanism. And this approach, it opens up some really intriguing possibilities for what these experience agents could do, right?
Absolutely. ZDNet discusses their potential as long-term AI assistants. Think health, education.
Where they could track progress over time, offer personalized advice based on ongoing interaction.
Exactly. Continuous adaptive support.
And then there's the more ambitious stuff.
Right. The potential for science agents. AI dedicated to pursuing really big goals, discovering new materials maybe, developing solutions for climate change.
An AI autonomously contributing to major scientific breakthroughs. That's quite a prospect.
It really is. And the article even suggests something quite provocative.
Ooh.
That these experience agents might ultimately surpass AI models focused just on thinking or reasoning in the way we currently define it.
Surpass reasoning AI. How?
The argument is that relying purely on human language and thought processes can be inherently limiting. Our reasoning is based on assumptions embedded in language, in history.
So an AI trained only on human text might get stuck in human ways of thinking, even flawed ones.
Potentially. The article gives this example. Imagine an AI trained on historical human thought trying to reason about physics. It might get stuck using outdated concepts, animism, Newtonian mechanics.
Instead of discovering relativity or quantum mechanics from experience, I see. Experience might allow it to break free from historical baggage.
That's the idea. Experience is a more fundamental source of knowledge than just processing human language about experiences.
It's a very different way to think about intelligence. Are there risks discussed too?
Oh, definitely. ZDNet acknowledges potential risks. Job displacement is one, naturally, with more autonomous agents.
Makes sense. If the AI can manage long-term tasks.
Right. There's also concern about reduced human intervention. If an agent has a long-term goal, how do we ensure it stays aligned or step in if needed?
That alignment problem again. It gets more complex with long-running experiential agents.
It does. Though the article also mentions a potential positive. These agents might also learn to adapt their behavior based on sensing human concerns from their environment.
So they could learn social norms or ethical boundaries through interaction too. Potentially,
Okay, so yes.
it's complex.
Okay, so looking really long-term now, what are the implications if this streams approach really takes off?
Well, one major point from ZDNet is about data scale. The sheer volume and, importantly, the richness of experiential data generated through these streams.
Yeah. It could absolutely dwarf the scale and quality of human-generated data sets. Think Wikipedia, Reddit, all the books. The AI's own experience could become far vaster.
Wow. So the AI's learning wouldn't be bottlenecked by human data creation anymore.
Exactly. And this paradigm shift learning from experience, combined with ongoing progress in reinforcement learning,
Uh-huh.
ZDNet suggests it really could unlock capabilities far surpassing human abilities across many domains.
Which inevitably leads to talk of.
Artificial General Intelligence, AGI, maybe even superintelligence. The article hints that this experiential path might be a route towards that.
It's a significant leap to consider. It feels less like just building better tools and more like fostering a new kind of learning entity.
It does. And the fact that David Silver himself also discussed this topic in a recent DeepMind podcast, as ZDNet notes, just underlines how central this thinking is to their current research direction.
Okay. So let's try to wrap this up for everyone listening. We've covered quite a bit.
We have.
We started with David Silver's compelling vision, AI capable of autonomous learning, even scientific discovery, moving beyond just human knowledge.
Right. And we saw how that vision sparked immediate interest, particularly in the crypto market, with AI tokens like AGIX, seeing jumps in price and activity.
Yeah, a tangible sign of market attention. Then we dove into the streams concept from ZDNet, this idea of AI learning through direct, continuous experience with an environment.
Using reinforcement learning, grounded signals, world models.
Yeah.
Fundamentally shifting away from sole reliance on static human-generated data.
And potentially overcoming the limitations of current LLMs, which are more about responding to prompts based on past data.
Exactly. It represents a really fundamental potential evolution in how AI learns and develops, maybe even how it discovers.
And understanding this evolution, this shift towards experiential learning, is really key, isn't it? Because it offers a glimpse into a future where AI isn't just processing our data,
but actively learning on its own, discovering things, maybe acting in ways that go beyond what we currently understand or can even predict.
which could have profound impacts across, well, pretty much every sector.
Yeah, the consequences could be huge, both good and maybe challenging.
Okay, so here's a final point, just something for you, the listener, to mull over.
Uh-huh.
Given this potential, this idea of AI learning and discovering in ways that truly go beyond our current human grasp, what possibilities jump out at you? What feels most exciting? Or maybe what feels most concerning?
Yeah, really think about that. What are the long-term implications if we have these AI agents out there, each learning from its own unique stream of experience, shaping its own knowledge, its own actions?
It's a truly fascinating and, yeah, maybe a little humbling future to ponder.